We are in Iraqi Kurdistan where thousands of exiled Iranian Kurds live, many of whom are eager to take up the fight against the Iranian regime, hoping they'll finally be able to return home. Now, their hopes have been spurred by the US-Israeli war on Iran. Kurds in this region have been seeking greater autonomy for their people for decades. And while many Iraqi Kurds sympathize with the struggle of Iranian Kurds, there are fears that Iranian Kurdish action from here against the Tehran regime could lead to retaliation by Iran or its proxies in Iraq. Our report begins north of Erbil, near the Iranian border.
We are heading toward the Iraq-Iran border. Since late February, Iranian Kurds in Iraq's Kurdistan region have been the main target for hundreds of missile and drone attacks from Iran. While a ceasefire between the US and Iran has temporarily stopped hostilities between the major combatants, Iranian drone strikes across the border in Iraq continue. That's because this region is home to several Iranian opposition groups. One of them is PKK, the Kurdistan Freedom Party. We visited one of their bases, which had only recently been attacked.
As you can see, Iran is an invading country. They can't accept different voices. That's why they're trying to suppress us.
We are receiving rare access to PKK's all-female unit. All of these young women were born in neighboring Iran. They are preparing to fight the Iranian regime once they have enough support and the right opportunity. Every day, they pledge their allegiance to their unit and the free Kurdistan. Many of these Iranian Kurdish opposition fighters fled to Iraqi Kurdistan just a few years ago. Horan says she arrived in 2022. It is a chosen name to protect her family in Iran. Horan was part of the Women Live Freedom movement in Iran, the nationwide protests which were sparked by the death of Mahsa Amini, an ethnic Kurd. The movement's slogan originates from Kurdish women who have been fighting for women's rights in the region for decades.
I had to go and raise my voice. When we went there, it was incredibly difficult for me. Armed attackers assaulted my friends with a gun. One had a bloodied mouth and broken teeth. There was also a pregnant woman, and a regime soldier struck her in the abdomen. It was a very dark moment in my life as a teenage girl. While teenagers around the world are living and studying, those growing up under the shadow of the occupying Iranian regime are forced to endure experiences like these.
The shift from being activists in Iran to fighters in Iraqi Kurdistan comes at a huge cost. To protect their families, they must keep contact to a minimum. Horan has not heard anything from her family since 2024, she tells us.
My wish is to go back. I really hope to hear his voice. It's been 2 years since I last heard my father. Being unable to see your family is extremely difficult.
Iraqi Kurdistan has long experienced instability, with its own bid for independence most recently put down violently by Iraq's government military in 2017. Already facing an unpredictable future at home, few here want to be caught in a crossfire between Iran and Iranian Kurdish opposition groups as well. But since the start of the war in February, they have found themselves increasingly drawn into their neighbors' conflict. We are now in Erbil, the capital of the Kurdistan regional government in Iraq. Only a few people have returned to this neighborhood here since it was hit several times by drone attacks, including after a ceasefire between the US and Iran, which began in April. Some of the strikes caused injuries, most material damage, and falling debris from intercepted drones is a danger everywhere.
Although Iran and its proxies primarily target Iranian opposition groups and US interests, this Iraqi Kurdish community has also been affected. And that's because many of these missiles and drones pass over Iraqi Kurdish towns and villages.
But this is not just about damaged buildings. Lives are also being put on hold. Wali Hassan is a taxi driver. In one of the recent attacks, shrapnel hit his car. And although the car is still functional, his home is no longer safe to live in. He has stopped working since March.
I must move every 3 nights to stay with relatives and spend the nights there. We're not secure here.
He says he's scared for his family and worries that something could happen to them if he goes out to work. He's convinced that none of these problems would exist if the Iranian Kurds had not sought shelter here.
It's important that Iranian parties go back to their country. This is happening to us because of them. We are civilians and poor people. The situation has nothing to do with us. They should go back home and not cause problems.
It is a sentiment shared by many Iraqi Kurds, both on and off camera. It is not their war, they say. And while their homes can be repaired, the constant uncertainty is taking its toll.
We are still in danger. We feel it all the time, and it happens again and again. Yesterday it was raining, and my children asked me if it was the sound of a drone. I told them, "No, my daughter, it's just raining." We cannot sit down in different rooms. We are traumatized.
The war on Iran has also had economic consequences in Iraqi Kurdistan. With the closure of the Hormuz Strait, revenues from the region's oil production have decreased dramatically. In Erbil, bazaars are noticeably quiet. People are cutting back on spending. Vendors, including these gold traders, say sales have dropped by 70 to 90% since March.
This war has changed everything. Not just our business, but everyone's business.
Back in the mountains, a wave of new Iranian drone attacks left several Iranian opposition fighters injured shortly after our visit. The attacks came after US President Trump unilaterally announced an extension to the ceasefire on April the 22nd. PAK fighters have begun changing their positions.
Now, the members of this Iranian opposition group no longer stay here. They have dispersed across those mountains to reduce their visibility to avoid further Iranian strikes.
Horan says in Iran, she had 2 options left: to be arrested or killed. Leaving Iran was her only chance for survival. She believes the regime is about to fall.
Iran has never been as weak as it is now. They are weak now, and in my opinion, freedom is closer now.
Iranians in exile like Horan are calling for renewed US and Israeli strikes on Iran, hoping sustained pressure will weaken the regime enough for them to join the fight on the ground. The future and security of Iraqi Kurdistan remain closely tied to the presence of Iranian Kurdish groups based here and to external competing influences: Iran, the United States, and Israel. For Iraqi Kurdistan to survive, it will require a delicate balancing act between those outside influences and those at home.